Well, she has the means, but she's not going to pay. An Olympia City Council member says that she wants rent canceled during this pandemic. Good evening, I'm Joyce Taylor. Her landlord has responded, accusing her of taking advantage of a measure designed to help those who actually need it. King 5's Tony Black spoke with both tonight.
In an open letter May 1st, City of Olympia Council member Renata Rollins said she will not be paying her rent.
Are you able to pay your rent today, or were you able to pay your rent on the 1st of May?
It's a question of if I have money in the bank or if I could find money from family. Yeah, I have the money in the bank.
Rollins is still being paid as a council member, but wrote in her letter the decision to not pay is part of a larger conversation of rent forgiveness on a national level.
We cannot afford as a community to come out of this pandemic with more people on the streets, and certainly not with more debt. My initial letter wasn't a personal thing.
Rollins' landlord, Zach Castoros, publicly posted a response to her letter this week. He is the president and owner of Prime Locations in Olympia.
I actually didn't know that she posted that until we got her email.
I think maybe it was taken a little personally, made a little bit personal. I don't have a particular anything I'm trying to get out of my landlord.
I felt like in her position and the position of influence like that, I just felt like the tactic was wrong.
He says his company manages 1,500 tenants and about 100 of them have reached out about issues paying rent. He says her letter encouraging others to not pay could do more harm than good.
If and when the eviction moratorium is lifted and the ban is lifted, if she's got, let's say, 100 people to not pay their rent, that could be a real problem for 100 people. And that was really the thing I took the most issue with.
He thinks the pandemic has amplified what he says is a myth of long-standing rift between landlords and their tenants.
And I felt like what she was insinuating in her sort of call to arms, as I read it and interpreted it, was trying to paint a picture that doesn't actually really exist for the vast majority of people. And it incites conflict that isn't necessary.
He also addressed some of the comments about the tone of his letter.
You feel that your letter was too personally attacking or like too personal towards her in any way?
I'm comfortable with the message, and I think that I conveyed what I wanted to. As I stated to the commenter in my response, I will take into consideration what she said, and if unfortunately I'm in this position again, yeah, I'll take that into consideration. I don't want this to be about Zach versus Renata.
Both said they would be open to having a dialogue in the future.
At this moment, do you intend to pay your rent for June?
I haven't decided, and I think I'll have to work that out with the landlord.
Tony Black, King 5 News.
When restaurants reopen for dining in, they will not be required to take down customers' names or contact information. Governor Jay Inslee announced the reversal on that tonight. The governor says, quote, "We are asking visitors to voluntarily provide contact information in cases of COVID-19 exposure. We only need information for one person per household. If we learn that you may have been exposed to COVID-19 during your visit, the information will only be shared with public health officials. Giving up the information is no longer required, but the governor is still asking restaurants to keep a daily log of people willing to provide it and to hold onto it for 30 days. Well, they hoped it would be a busy summer travel season, and now airports are nearly empty. Paine Field is temporarily suspending passenger service after a drastic drop in scheduled flights. King 5's Ted Land is in Everett with more tonight.
The terminal is empty, the doors are locked, and the arrivals and departures board is completely blank. That's how quiet it is here at the terminal at Paine Field tonight. It's been like that for weeks. Before the coronavirus pandemic, the passenger terminal served 24 daily departures. Now there are just 5 daily departures, sometimes even fewer than that. So Snohomish County and Propeller Airports, which operates the terminal, are announcing that they'll suspend passenger service from May 22nd through the end of July. They say this break will actually allow them to speed up some much-needed airport repairs, which were previously scheduled out over 4 months. We just spoke with the CEO of Propeller Airports.
This decision was in the works since November, well before any of this happened. And we had scheduled to start it in June, and it would have gone through September. But now we can do it in 2 months instead of potentially 4. So it's quicker, it's actually more cost effective, and it's better for the passenger experience.
The operators of this airport say they think once people start flying in large numbers again, once traffic starts returning to I-5, that this airport will remain a viable alternative to SeaTac Airport. A reason why people travel out of here is to avoid all that traffic and the long waits at SeaTac. So they think once people start returning to their routines, whenever that may be, they will still want to use Paine Field. In Everett, Ted Land, King 5 News.
Well, frustration was on display in Everett this afternoon. Some Snohomish County residents were out protesting the governor's stay-at-home order. This rally was organized by the Snohomish County Republican Party, business owners, church leaders, and candidates running for office. They urged shops and restaurants to reopen on their own as the state takes a cautious, gradual approach to reopening our economy. The owner of an Everett spa opened her business earlier this month and was just told by the Snohomish Health District that she is violating the state order.
Why is my spa not allowed to open, but anybody who wants to can go stand in line at Lowe's for 6 hours next to somebody they've never met? Nobody's cleaning up after them. So why is it okay if you do that, but it's not okay if I have an individual in my spa and earn money from it?
Only a few of the rally participants wore masks, and most people were also sitting less than 6 feet from each other. A similar protest took place in Spokane today. The state denied the county's request to move into phase 2 of the governor's plan to reopen. Spokane has less than 400 coronavirus cases. 30 people have died. The governor's staff says June 1st is a possible date for when the entire state could move into the second phase. Well, a local sheriff is accused of putting personal politics in front of public safety. And today, a judge ruled the recall effort for Snohomish County Sheriff could move forward. Last month, Sheriff Adam Fortney posted on Facebook that he would not enforce the state's stay-home order. Lori Shavlik took issue with that.
You absolutely have to stand by the statute of the law because it is a standard set by our government to establish safety and for our communities.
Shavlik now has 180 days to gather about 42,000 signatures to put the recall to a vote of the people. In a Facebook post today, the sheriff said that he stands by his comments. The number of people who have died from coronavirus in our state is closing in on the 1,000 mark now. New numbers out today show at least 992 people have died from the virus. That is up 9 deaths from yesterday. In the last 24 hours, 178 new cases were reported across the state. The coronavirus may have been in Washington state as early as December, a month earlier than previously thought. So here's what we know. On January 21st, a man in Snohomish County became the first known case of coronavirus in the United States. He had traveled to Wuhan, China prior to his diagnosis. But yesterday, the Seattle Times reported 2 people in Snohomish County had COVID-like symptoms in December and later tested positive for antibodies. Today, a Snohomish County health official said while he cannot be 100% sure, he thinks there's a more likely scenario.
There's a saying in medicine, when you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras. And so, the horse in that scenario would be that they had a non-COVID infection in December and then subsequently got infected with COVID, but didn't know it, developed antibodies, and then here we are.
A resident of Life Care Center of Kirkland was initially thought to be the first COVID-19 death in the United States, but autopsies on 2 people in California revealed both died from the virus earlier. Time now for the Fast 5 on King 5. The House passed another stimulus bill tonight known as the HEROES Act. The $3 trillion measure would provide another round of stimulus payments to American families. But the measure faces opposition in the Senate, and President Trump called it, quote, dead on arrival. Starting Monday, face masks will be required at SeaTac Airport, and that includes all travelers and workers. The only exceptions are young children and people who cannot medically tolerate facial coverings. There will be masks available at check-in if you forgot yours. Struggling retailer JCPenney has filed for bankruptcy. The company's sales have fallen every year since 2016. In a statement, the company's CEO said the coronavirus crushed any chance it had at turning that around. Spokane Valley Representative Matt Shea did not file for re-election. The deadline was this afternoon. Shea was stripped of his duties and expelled from the House Republican caucus last year after being accused of domestic terrorism. The city of Kenmore is directing residents to wear face coverings in public starting next week. The city's proclamation asks people to comply with King County's order, but there are no penalties for people who don't wear one. As we approach the 40th anniversary of the eruption of Mount St. Helens, the nonprofit that helps us learn about that day fears it could go under and pipe down. Why we should all be speaking just a bit softer these days. And rain is moving in for the weekend. Craig Herrera is here to let us know just how much we might get right after this.